In a dystopian future, humanity stands on the brink of collapse. Devastating wars and catastrophic natural disasters have reshaped the planet in irreversible ways. The remaining cities are a shadow of their former selves, with ruined skyscrapers and advanced technologies coexisting in an environment of despair and decay. Society has divided between the few privileged who hold power and the many who struggle to survive amidst the chaos. In this dark scenario, an enigmatic and brilliant scientist emerges, whose name is whispered with fear and admiration: Dr. Nathaniel Cromwell. Obsessed with the concept of time and its infinite possibilities, he dedicated his life to unraveling the mysteries of the temporal universe. After decades of experiments and sacrifices, Dr. Cromwell created a structure that defied the laws of physics and reality: the temporal labyrinth. This labyrinth is not a common construction. It is a place where time and space intertwine in unpredictable ways. Within its walls, challengers face their worst nightmares, reliving them in endless temporal loops. Dr. Cromwell, in his relentless pursuit of knowledge, offers a tempting prize of $20 million to anyone who can survive and traverse the labyrinth. But with each failed attempt, the labyrinth becomes more lethal, and the legends of its cruelty only grow. Despite the dangers, desperation and hope for a better life lead many to accept the challenge. Among them, a group of 4 fearless individuals decides to risk everything to try to win the prize and the freedom it promises. Each with their own motivations, carrying stories of struggle and sacrifice, they enter the labyrinth, determined to change their destinies. But what they do not know is that, by crossing the gates of the labyrinth, they are entering a deadly game where time is both their greatest enemy and their only ally. And thus begins the epic journey of courage, betrayal, and survival in Dr. Nathaniel Cromwell's Temporal Labyrinth. The Temporal Labyrinth is a masterpiece of engineering and insanity. Dr. Nathaniel Cromwell, with his brilliant mind, spent decades building this enigma. Using advanced technologies and revolutionary theories about time, he created a space where the laws of physics are distorted and the concepts of past, present, and future become malleable. The construction of the labyrinth began as a series of small experiments in a secret laboratory located deep within an isolated mountain. The first prototypes were simple temporal devices that could alter small periods of time. However, as Cromwell's obsession grew, so did the complexity of his creations. He began testing his devices on living beings, first on small animals, then on desperate human volunteers. These initial experiments were marked by horrible failures. Many volunteers became trapped in temporal loops, constantly reliving the same moments of pain and despair. Some disappeared completely, lost in fragments of time that shattered like broken glass. Each failure, however, brought new learnings, and Cromwell refined his techniques, making the labyrinth increasingly intricate and dangerous. The final labyrinth is a vast complex, composed of endless corridors, doors that open to different eras, and traps that defy logic and reason. Cromwell used a combination of electromagnetic fields, particle accelerators, and quantum computing technologies to manipulate the fabric of space-time. Each section of the labyrinth is programmed to create unique scenarios based on the challenger's deepest nightmares. To further increase the complexity, the labyrinth is self-adjusting, learning and adapting to the actions of those who venture into it. It is an almost living entity, a perfect trap created by a man whose quest for knowledge surpassed all boundaries of ethics and sanity. Participants John Harris, an ex-military man, is marked by his combat experiences. After years of serving in war zones, he returned home only to find a world he no longer recognized. Unemployed and haunted by nightmares of past battles, John feels like a stranger in his own skin. The offer of $20 million is a chance for redemption for him. He believes that if he can conquer the labyrinth, he can not only solve his financial problems, but also find a purpose again. Dr. Elena Rodriguez is a brilliant scientist specializing in quantum physics. Her life changed drastically when her daughter was diagnosed with a rare and incurable disease. With exorbitant medical costs and hope fading, Elena sees the labyrinth challenge as her only salvation. If she can traverse the labyrinth, she can finance the necessary treatments to save her daughter's life. Elena is driven by unshakable love and a sharp mind, ready to face any obstacle. Kai Nakamura, a young hacker, has always lived on the fringes of society. Raised on the streets, he learned to use his intelligence to survive. By 18, Kai had already hacked highly secured systems and stolen millions of dollars. However, his last failed operation put a high price on his head. For him, the labyrinth represents an escape from authorities and gangs pursuing him. Kai sees the challenge as a high-stakes game, an opportunity to test his limits and perhaps redefine his destiny. Mia Torres, a former Olympic athlete, lived the best years of her life competing and winning medals. However, after a devastating injury, she was forced to abandon the sport she loved. Life post-career has been a constant struggle against depression and lack of purpose. When she heard about the Labyrinth Challenge, something inside her reignited. The chance to win $20 million and, more importantly, prove to herself that she still has the ability to overcome human limits is irresistible. These four individuals, each with their unique motivations and turbulent pasts, meet at the entrance of the labyrinth. There is a palpable tension in the air as they exchange evaluative glances. They know that despite being together on this journey, each one is on their own in the fight for survival. The initial conversations are brief and cautious, but the gravity of the situation forces a temporary alliance. Together, they enter the labyrinth, aware that each step could be their last, but determined to reach the center and win the promised prize. The doors of the labyrinth close with a deafening sound, sealing the four participants in a world where time is an unforgiving force. The first hours are crucial, and adrenaline courses through their veins. They walk cautiously, alert to every sound and movement. The labyrinth is a place of threatening silences and unsettling shadows. Early on, they find an abandoned cache, apparently left by other challengers who never returned. Inside, they find some items that could be vital for their survival: sharp knives, ropes, compact tents, first aid kits, and a water purification kit. Each chooses their tools carefully, aware that these resources could be the difference between life and death. John, the ex-military man, takes a robust combat knife, some ropes, and a first aid kit. His experience in extreme situations guides his choices, always thinking about how to protect the group and face any physical threat. Elena, the scientist, opts for a high-powered flashlight, a first aid kit, and the water purification kit, imagining scenarios where these items will be essential. Kai, the hacker, grabs a smaller knife and a multi-tool device, planning how he could use his intelligence to manipulate the environment to his advantage. Mia, the athlete, chooses a lightweight tent, a knife, and a filtered water bottle, ready to face the physical challenges that are sure to come. As they explore the labyrinth, they encounter treacherous traps and enigmatic challenges. In a narrow passage, they're attacked by sharp blades emerging from the walls. John's quick reaction and Mia's agility save them from this deadly trap. Kai uses his tool to disarm a series of laser sensors, clearing the way for the group. Elena, with her flashlight, illuminates the path ahead, revealing hidden passages and imminent dangers. The first hours are a trial by fire, forcing them to work together despite their differences. With each step, the tension rises, and the weight of their personal motivations becomes more evident. They know the labyrinth is only beginning to reveal its secrets, and the true test of their skills and courage is yet to come. After several hours of tension and constant challenges, the group decides to find a safe place to rest. They discover a hidden chamber, apparently outside the most dangerous zones of the labyrinth. It is a small space, but offers a temporary sense of security. John quickly checks the perimeter, ensuring there are no hidden traps. "We need to set up watch shifts," John suggests, his voice firm but exhausted. We can't afford to be caught by surprise. The group agrees and sets up a small camp. The tents are quickly assembled, and Elena uses the water purification kit to ensure everyone has potable water. Kai, always suspicious, inspects the chamber for any signs of digital danger, like hidden cameras or sensors. During the first watch shift, John and Mia talk in low voices. "Why are you here, John?" Mia asks, her voice soft but curious. John stares into the distance for a moment before replying. "I'm trying to find a purpose again. The war, it took more from me than I can describe. This labyrinth, as crazy as it sounds, might be my chance for redemption." Mia nods, understanding the pain in his words. "I'm here because I need to prove to myself that I can still be strong. After my injury, I lost everything that defined me. Maybe this place can give that back to me." In another corner, Elena and Kai discuss strategies. "We need to think like the scientist," Elena says, her mind racing with ideas. "He's a genius, but he's also human. There are patterns we can exploit." Kai smiles, admiring Elena's intelligence. "I agree. And if we can hack some of the digital defenses, we can gain an advantage. We need to be fast and unpredictable." The night passes slowly, with each member of the group alternating between watch and rest. The strange sounds of the labyrinth continue, echoing as a constant reminder of the danger surrounding them. Fear is palpable, but there is also a spark of hope, a feeling that together they can overcome any obstacle. In the morning, they gather and share a modest breakfast, consisting of rations found in the cache. John reviews the rudimentary map they started drawing, identifying points of interest and dangers. "We should follow this path," he says, pointing to a less explored passage. "It seems to be our best chance of avoiding more deadly traps." The group agrees and prepares to move forward. Nightmares and temporal loops. The group continues their journey through the labyrinth, each step bringing new challenges and mysteries. As they venture deeper, a strange sensation begins to manifest. Time seems distorted, with moments repeating and the scenery subtly changing. Kai, the hacker, is the first to notice the strange patterns. "We're trapped in a temporal loop," he announces, his voice filled with concern. "We need to be extremely careful. Any wrong move could trap us in an endless cycle." Nightmares begin to materialize, each reflecting the deepest fears of the characters. John is the first to face his torment. Suddenly, he finds himself on the battlefield, surrounded by the deafening sound of explosions and screams. He sees his war comrades falling around him, reliving the most traumatic moments of his life. His eyes fill with tears, but he knows he must stay focused to avoid succumbing to despair. Meanwhile, Elena faces an endless corridor with doors leading to different versions of her daughter, all suffering. Each door she opens reveals a new scene of agony, her heart breaking with each vision. "I have to save her, no matter what," she murmurs to herself, trying to find a way out of this temporal nightmare. Kai, in turn, finds himself in a cell, surrounded by law enforcement agents and gang members he has deceived. They approach, ready to deliver justice. His quick mind works feverishly to find a way to escape, but every attempt seems to bring him back to the starting point. Mia, the athlete, faces an endless track, her legs heavy as lead. Each time she tries to run, she feels the pain of the injury that ended her career. "I'm still strong," she repeats to herself, fighting against the pain and despair. As they face these nightmares, real monsters emerge, grotesque materializations of each person's fears and traumas. John faces a giant enemy soldier with overwhelming strength. He fights with all his might, using his combat knife to deliver precise blows. Elena is chased by a monstrous version of a doctor, representing the medical system's failure to save her daughter. Kai battles shadowy figures, representing the constant threats in his life, and Mia faces a monster, embodying her physical and emotional pain. Kai is the first to succumb. During a fierce fight, he is captured by one of the shadowy figures, and in a moment of weakness, he cannot break free. The group watches, helpless, as Kai is taken away by the shadows, his scream of despair echoing through the labyrinth. Kai's death deeply shakes the others. They realize the gravity of the situation, knowing that any one of them could be next. "We need to find a safe place to rest and come up with a strategy," John suggests, his voice filled with pain and determination. "We can't let Kai's death be in vain." They continue forward, their energies dwindling with each step. Finally, they find a small hidden cave where they decide to set up a temporary camp. The cave's walls are covered with moss, offering a strange sense of security amidst the labyrinth's chaos. While setting up the tents and distributing tasks, the group reflects on their experiences. "These nightmares aren't random," observes Elena. "They're based on real events from our lives. This scientist, he knows more about us than we imagined." John agrees. "That means he knows our weaknesses. We need to be prepared for anything." Mia, still recovering from the pain of her nightmare, adds, "We need to use this to our advantage. If we know our fears, we can face them head on. We can't let them dominate us." The group spends the night making plans and strategies. They know the path ahead will be even more difficult, but they are determined to continue. Kai's death serves as a grim reminder of what is at stake, and the urgency to survive and conquer the labyrinth is stronger than ever. The next morning, with their energies somewhat renewed, they prepare to face the next challenges. John leads the way, with Eleanor lighting the path ahead, and Mia ready for any physical challenge. Each of them carries Kai's memory as a beacon of warning and motivation. After facing their nightmares and the devastating loss of Kai, the group moves determinedly towards the labyrinth's center. To their surprise, the path becomes unexpectedly calm. The traps and monsters seem to have disappeared, leaving only an unsettling silence. The tension is palpable, each step echoing in the vast emptiness around them. This period of calm is strange, almost as if the labyrinth is preparing something even more sinister. "This doesn't feel right," murmurs Eleanor, breaking the silence. "It's like we're being watched, tested in a different way." John agrees, his eyes always vigilant. "We need to stay on high alert. This silence might be more dangerous than any monster." As they walk, the group takes advantage of the moment of tranquility to discuss their strategies and share secrets. They sit in a small clearing inside the labyrinth, where dim light illuminates their tired faces. Eleanor begins to speak, her voice laden with emotion. "I never told anyone, but before coming here, I got a crucial piece of information about the labyrinth," she confesses. "I learned that the scientist, Dr. Cromwell, had a deep fear, something that motivated him to create this place. If we can find out what it is, maybe we can use it against him." Mia, curious, asks, "What kind of fear could drive someone to create a nightmare like this?" Eleanor shakes her head, unsure. "I don't know exactly yet, but if we can find out, it might be our key to getting out of here alive." John, always practical, suggests, "Let's focus on reaching the center. That's where our exit is, our better life, and the check for $20 million each." With that, they get up and continue their journey. The calm persists, but anxiety grows with each step. Finally, after hours of tense walking, they reach the labyrinth's center. A vast chamber opens before them, dominated by an imposing and sinister figure. The guardian of the labyrinth's center is there, a physical manifestation of Dr. Cromwell's deepest fears. The guardian is a grotesque creature, an amalgamation of shadows and fears, with eyes reflecting the despair of those who have faced the labyrinth. It moves with terrifying grace, its sharp claws gleaming in the dim light. The group prepares for the final battle, knowing this is the deadliest obstacle they will face. The fight is intense, a mix of physical strength and emotional torment. The Guardian attacks not only with its claws, but also with visions of the character's deepest nightmares. John sees his war comrades falling, one by one. Eleanor is haunted by visions of her daughter suffering, while Mia faces a monstrous version of herself, debilitated by pain. John advances with his combat knife, delivering precise blows, but the Guardian seems relentless. Elena uses her high-powered flashlight to try to blind the creature, but her attempts are thwarted by the Guardian's ability to manipulate shadows. Mia, with her athletic strength, tries to find a weak point, but each attack is met with a brutal response. In the midst of the battle, the Guardian focuses its attention on Mia. In a moment of carelessness, it grabs her with its shadowy claws, inflicting a fatal wound. Mia falls, her last vision being of her companions fighting desperately. Her death is a devastating blow to the group, but they have no time to mourn. Elena, now more determined than ever, shouts, "We need to finish this. We can't let Kai and Mia's deaths be in vain." With a final desperate effort, John and Elena combine their strengths. John distracts the Guardian, while Elena uses the water purification kit to throw a chemical liquid into the creature's eyes. Temporarily blinded, the Guardian falters. John seizes the opportunity to deliver a fatal blow, piercing the creature's heart with his knife. The Guardian falls, dissipating into shadows that evaporate into the air. But the victory comes at a high price. Gravely wounded, John falls to his knees. "Elena, you need to keep going. Find the exit. Save your daughter." Elena, tears in her eyes, holds John's hand. "I can't do this alone. We need to get out of here together." But before they can continue, the labyrinth begins to tremble. The walls around them start to disintegrate, revealing a hidden door. With John leaning on her shoulder, Elena struggles towards the exit, determined to fulfill the promise to save her daughter and honor the sacrifice of her friends. Elena crosses the hidden door, her body trembling with exhaustion and pain. With John leaning on her shoulder, she realizes something is wrong. His breathing is weak and irregular. She stops, leaning down to check his vital signs. There is no pulse. John is dead. A wave of despair hits her, but she knows she must keep going. Raising her eyes, she sees a strange scene, a distorted version of her own home. The walls are familiar, but covered in a layer of decay and shadows. She climbs the stairs with hesitant steps, her heart pounding in her chest. "This can't be real," she whispers to herself, trying to stay calm. At the top of the stairs, Elena heads to her daughter's room. Each step she takes is an emotional torment. She pushes the door ajar, hoping to find her daughter, but what she sees is a deformed and grotesque version of her child. The creature sits on the bed, its eyes large and empty, its body twisted at impossible angles. The sight is a materialized nightmare, a personification of Elena's greatest fear, her daughter's death. Elena feels a mix of horror and deep sadness. "No, it can't be her," she says, her words trembling with emotion. But the creature emits a sound that is a mixture of crying and laughter, a parody of what her daughter might do. The true trial begins. Elena knows she must make an impossible choice: kill this grotesque version and face the immense emotional burden it brings, or be killed and lose any chance of saving her real daughter. She holds the knife with trembling hands, tears streaming down her face. "I can't do this," she whispers, her voice breaking, but the creature advances slowly towards her, each movement a reminder of the nightmare she is living. Elena closes her eyes for a moment, trying to gather courage. "This is not real," she repeats to herself, trying to convince herself. "This is just a manifestation of my fear." But the line between reality and illusion is thin, and the weight of the decision almost paralyzes her. The creature approaches, and Elena feels the cold of death in the air. "I have to be strong," she says, raising the knife. "I have to do this for my daughter." With a scream of pain and determination, she advances, the knife gleaming in the dim light. The creature emits a high-pitched scream, a sound that reverberates in Elena's heart, but she doesn't stop. The blow is quick and precise, but the emotional impact is devastating. The creature falls, its body dissolving into shadows, but the vision of what she did remains etched in her mind. Elena falls to her knees, sobbing, the knife still in her hand. "Forgive me," she murmurs, the pain in her voice echoing in the empty room. But she knows she can't stop now. With the last strength remaining, she rises, her eyes filled with determination. I will get out of here, she tells herself, and I will save my daughter. She moves through the distorted scenery, each step a challenge to her sanity, but her purpose clear in her mind. The true trial has changed her, strengthening her resolve. She is ready to face whatever comes, determined to win the labyrinth and save her daughter at any cost. Elena walks through the house with a distorted specter of reality, each step a reminder of her arduous journey through the temporal labyrinth. The walls seem to pulse with a strange energy, shadows dancing at the edges of her vision. Everything around her looks familiar, yet disturbingly different. She moves slowly, her senses on high alert until she reaches the front door. Opening the door, a blinding flash floods her eyes, almost blinding her. She raises her hand to shield her face, and with her heart pounding, she crosses the threshold. The world around her dissolves into a mix of light and darkness, and she feels as if she is being pulled through the very fabric of time. When the brightness finally dissipates, Elena finds herself at the entrance of the temporal labyrinth, exactly where she began her journey 3 days ago. She is intact, with no visible signs of the battles she fought. John, Mia, and Kai's bodies are nowhere to be seen, as if they never existed. Was this real? She wonders, still trying to process the experience. The memories of the trials and nightmares are vivid, but the absence of her companions leaves her uncertain. As she reflects on the meaning of everything she went through, a figure approaches the labyrinth door. It is Dr. Nathaniel Cromwell. "Congratulations, Elena," he says with an enigmatic smile. "You have completed the challenge. Here are your $20 million. He hands her a check, but his eyes lack the coldness she expected. There is a genuine curiosity, almost admiring. Elena takes the check, but her heart is heavy. "What does all this mean?" she asks, her voice full of emotion. "Why do all this?" Dr. Cromwell sighs, looking at the labyrinth behind her. "I wanted to understand the limits of time and the human mind, and perhaps in the process, test my own limits. You showed me that even in the worst circumstances, the will to save those we love can overcome any barrier." As she holds the check, an internal monologue begins to form. "During these 3 days, I learned that true strength comes not just from physical or mental ability, but from the capacity to face our deepest fears. I saw people die, faced my nightmares, and came out the other side stronger. But at what cost? I lost companions, saw distorted versions of reality, and now, I don't know if the world I knew still exists." Determined to use the prize to save her daughter, Elena leaves the building. However, as she crosses the doors to the outside world, something is terribly wrong. The horizon is different, the buildings have a futuristic style, and the streets are strangely silent. She realizes that time didn't just distort inside the labyrinth, but outside of it as well. She is in a new reality. She walks through the streets, her heart tight with anxiety. "Where is my daughter?" she asks a passerby, but receives only a confused look. Desperate, she runs to the hospital where her daughter was admitted, only to find that the building no longer exists. Elena feels desolate. Was it all in vain? She thinks, holding the check tightly. But then, an idea forms in her mind. If this world is different, maybe there's a way to fix it. If Dr. Cromwell can manipulate time and space, maybe I can find a way back. To save my daughter. She returns to the labyrinth building, determined to confront the scientist one last time. "You owe me this," she says, finding Dr. Cromwell. "I need to return to my reality and save my daughter." Dr. Cromwell smiles, a cold and ironic smile. "Oh, my dear Elena, do you really think it was that simple? Reality is malleable, and time is a game. You entered this game knowing the risks. Perhaps your daughter no longer exists, or perhaps she never existed.